All right, we're gonna listen to this story from Kendra about how she fell in love with her psychiatrist, and she stayed seeing this person for 4 years.
Here it is, part one. So I decided to go back on ADHD meds after many years of being off of them. I was on them in my early 20s to help me get through college. And then I went off of them because they just weren't
ADHD.
the side effects were too much over the benefits.
I wonder if she's gonna share what her side effects were, and like how was it? How were you diagnosed with that in the beginning to begin with? I'm curious. I've shared with you guys that back in the day, one of the first things I was diagnosed with was ADHD. And when I was younger and you got diagnosed with that, they put you on Ritalin. And it had a lot of side effects that the doctors or the psychiatrist I was seeing didn't warn me about or tell me to be cautious about. And I had to learn as I was going or as I was on it. I took it for a year or two and then stopped. Because it was explained to me too that the meds were something I didn't have to take for the rest of my life and that it was like a crutch to help me like retrain my brain. So, but the side effects that I had to do with um like caffeine. Like if I drink anything with caffeine in it, I felt like I was tripping. I don't even know how to explain. I would have these weird side effects, but it mostly had to do with like if I, drank anything with caffeine or like I couldn't sleep. I already had issues sleeping. Um, and yeah, a lot of the things I was dealing with that they prescribed me the med to begin with, I realized later on as I did my own independent research that I probably could have gotten a handle on these things in my life without those meds by having a certain type of diet, by utilizing certain techniques to try to like I said, retrain my brain. But those were never presented to me by the psychiatrist or therapist I was seeing. That was something I learned from doing my own independent research. And I don't know if there's anyone that's from Europe or specifically France. Let me know. Is it true that in France, because I feel like I've read this in the past, that they don't have ADD or ADHD, or they don't diagnose that there, or have that type of diagnosis there. Um, and some people feel it has to do with lifestyle and diet. All right. So I don't know. Let me know if you guys know about that.
But then in my late 20s, I read this book, Taking Charge of Adult ADHD, and it absolutely changed my life. For my fellow ADHDers, there's so many good things in here. And the biggest thing that I took away was that it's very important for ADHDers to be on meds.
That's interesting. I personally disagree. I've seen people. I had really bad experience when I stopped taking those meds, where it actually I ended up getting diagnosed with severe depression, like which I read later on. Read that there are people that when they stop taking the meds end up severely depressed. So that's strange, and I know a lot of people, more people than I'd like to admit, that were either diagnosed or diagnosed themselves and took these meds, and they literally, they're out of their minds, have lost their minds. So I don't know what that book is. Um, I've never read it. If you have, let me know in the comments. But I feel like what she's saying, I disagree already. But okay.
So I decided to make an appointment with a psychiatrist. I just Googled psychiatry in the city that I lived in, and I went with the first one that came up.
Huh. Um, just so you guys know, when you Google things, the first 3 to 10 things that come up are usually paid for, like, paid to be seen first in the, when you're Googling for stuff. So that would worry me, that you just Googled it and the very first person that popped up, you clicked on and was like, I'm gonna go with this person. Okay, don't do that.
And I got an appointment within a month.
And that's weird too to me. Anyone else in therapy or seeing a psychiatrist currently or in the past got an appointment that quickly? I've never gotten an appointment that quickly. Back when, the whole world changed, when, we had to wear masks and all this stuff. I don't know what it's like in your state currently, but I remember when this was all happening a couple of years ago when it started. I tried to get an appointment. I was on a waiting list for like over a year, and I never even got to see the doctor. Long story there. I should do my own TikTok about that. But so that's interesting. So within a month, huh? Interesting.
And then I booked a 90-minute intake, and I show up to the intake.
I think intakes are usually, in my experience, 60 minutes, at least an hour, if not an hour and a half for the first time you're meeting them. And okay.
And this man is my age, and I can't help but notice that he's pretty attractive.
If I was going to therapy or seeing a psychiatrist and I felt I was close in age with that person, I don't really think the age should matter, because I've met people younger than me that are very mature, people older than me that act like they're 10 years old. So it really depends on the person and their experiences in life and things of that nature, right? But if I was attracted to my doctor, psychiatrist, therapist, I would let them know that. And if they're ethical, they're going to help. They're going to either suggest that I see someone else. Right? Okay.
This psychiatrist. I fell in love with my
Okay, that was
I
part
fell in
one.
love with my psychiatrist, and he kept me anyway, part 2. So in this intake,
I want to get to the part of the story where she tells this person that she's attracted to them or fell in love with them, and then they just keep her around anyway. Who was this person? What?
talked that he was attractive in my age, but when I tell you that I've had a lot of couch time in my life, a lot of therapy, I just went right into it. I trusted him enough, of course.
And normally in your intake, they're asking you very specific questions where, like, if you've been through certain experiences, all right, you're sharing it within the first like hour of meeting this person, so they can kind of figure out, like, are they a good fit for you and what are they dealing with, a lot of times I'm not a big fan of like the intake in my experience, because like intake, you'll go like an hour, excuse, like you're there for an hour and a half, and they're already deciding sometimes at the end of that hour, oh, here, I'm going to write you a prescription for this. An ethical psychiatrist will see you for a few sessions, 4 to 6, maybe more sessions before deciding, like, how are we going to go forth the treatment. But okay.
Why wouldn't I? To tell him about my childhood trauma, my daddy issues, if you will.
I feel like most of that would have been revealed during intake, like, but all right.
What I had went through, all of the relationship trauma that I had. I was 6 months sober at this time, but like all of the
If you were 6 months sober, I want to know if this psychiatrist specialized in when you're healing or going through that specifically. I need more background about the psychiatrist and experience or expertise?
Drinking and substance use I used to do. And
Because 6 months is not a long time to be. I mean, if you've been 6 months clean, congratulations, that is awesome. But that's like a lifelong thing. When you have those types of issues, what I've found is that you don't just heal from that. What my experience is that you normally trade one habit for another. So when you're in this type of personality, usually you're never going to just be like, oh, I'm not, you know, like anymore. You just learn to be turned on or give attention to what you would categorize as healthy habits as opposed to the unhealthy ones. That's my experience anyway, and with the people I've known who dealt with certain things in my life.
he just listened and nodded. And that's the thing about psychiatrists, is that they're good at
So if all your psychiatrist did was sit there and nod, and you just started this by saying you have so much experience with being on the couch. If your experience with being on the couch, quote unquote, is psychiatrists just staring at you and nodding, then that's not what they're supposed to do. Yeah, they're supposed to listen, make you feel heard, obviously, but it's also to help you recognize maybe a different way, like to have a different perspective, to speak to yourself differently, to maybe even guide you towards certain tools you could utilize in your healing that are separate from writing a prescription. So I'm a little confused already, but what else is new?
pretending to listen. They can appear
If this is true, then that's why this person was the first you found on the Google search. All right.
connected.
And you look kind of young to me. So I don't know if this person was newly graduating, had just graduated, or fulfilling an internship or something.
But that doesn't mean that they're always connected. So I just felt really.
And I have a lot of compassion and empathy for people that work in that field because, you're sitting there most like every day, right? Listening to people. I'm sure it gets draining.
Seen. And I also told him, I was like, look, I don't want to be on stimulant meds. So he listened to me and he put me on the non-stimulant.
That's interesting. I wish we knew what this doctor's, like, if they specialized in something. Like, did they specialize with people that have ADD, ADHD, or like, because you could sometimes be on the spectrum and that's not recognized, all right, or you're misdiagnosed, and then the meds aren't doing what they're supposed to do because you were misdiagnosed.
ADHD med at the lowest dose just to figure out if it was going to work for me. I fell in love.
All right.
I was in love with my psychiatrist and he kept me anyway.
And he kept you anyway. All right.
So I hadn't ever seen a psychiatrist before.
I need her to tell us though, did he keep you for 4 years, like after you expressed that you were attracted to this person and at some point fell in love with them?
On meds in my early 20s, I only got meds from my primary care physician. So I didn't understand how psychiatry works.
Wait, didn't she just say in the last video that she had a lot of experience on the couch? Referring to like seeing therapists and psychiatrists? I'm a little, all right.
I was in love with my psychiatrist and he kept me anyway, part 3.
Girl, you're already losing me.
So
this
I
seems
hadn't
a lot
ever seen a psychiatrist
story
before. When I was on meds in my early 20s, I only got meds from my primary care.
Am I the only one who's confused already? Is it because I have ADHD and I'm not on my meds?
physician. So I didn't understand how psychiatry works.
And I actually think that's strange that a primary care physician can prescribe you those meds. That's weird to me. I don't agree with that. Shouldn't you be in therapy, seeing a psychiatrist? Like when in the past I was put on a lot of meds back in the day, but it started with a diagnosis of ADHD and being put on Ritalin. Um, and I was in weekly therapy, and I would see the psychiatrist once a month to give like updates or, to see what was going on with the meds, like were they doing what they were supposed to be doing. And I was also had this person just shared that they had whatever issues or they were 6 months clean. I was going through certain things at that specific time as well, and I was in outpatient group meetings, like 2 to 3 times a week, all right? Almost every day. So, all right, share more. Tell me more, Kendra.
So because he was figuring out my med dose, I saw him every month, and he just made me feel like
And really, your med dose should have to do with your weight, like your physical weight has to do with that. So, all right.
I was his friend. He was really, really funny and
Your psychiatrist is not your friend. Your psychiatrist is not your friend. I mean, I have felt close with my psychiatrist and therapist. You want to feel close with them and be comfortable, yes, but this is a professional setting. So I'm wondering if she would say to this person, "Oh, I feel like you're my friend. I'm attracted to you." Like before the "I was in love with them" part came about. But all right, continue.
cracked jokes and told me he was impressed with my running that I would do.
How would
And
he be impressed with your running? What do you mean? He would tell you he was impressed with the running you would do. He thought I could see a psychiatrist saying that they're impressed that you are keeping to a schedule, especially if you're diagnosed with something like ADD, ADHD, right? Like that you're keeping to a certain schedule or that you're exercising in general because that's overall good for your mental, physical well-being and all that stuff, which comes into the emotional part. Like it's all connected. But
yeah. So, of course, I loved the attention that I got from him.
it's almost sounding like to me, just from the little bit that I've heard so far, that you're delusional. And I don't mean to be a dick. I don't know how many parts are up here, but I hope we get to the part where you tell me when you actually shared with this person that that oh, we're close in age and I'm attracted to you and now I'm falling in love with you. You're my friend. A friend that you pay to listen. It's like a man who pays a woman of the night, a lady of the night. But they don't want to do physical things. They just want them to sit and listen to their problems. Like that man knows they're paying that woman to do that. Like they wouldn't be there otherwise. Do you think this person would be there otherwise if you weren't paying them?
And it was in my third session with him, because at this point we were all on Zoom.
All right, wait, so it's only been 3 sessions. Okay, continue, Kendra.
But I asked him, I said,
Kendra, I don't mean to sound like a dick, but you might need therapy.
hey, do you mind if I call you by your first name? And he's Pakistani, so I said his first name wrong. And he said, well, it's pronounced this, but yes, of course you can.
Why is she saying it like that? She's insinuating that he was flirting with her. Like, of course I called my therapist by the first names. I didn't think that they were in love with me. It was just a casual, like they want me to be comfortable. All right, go ahead, Kendra.
And he seemed so smug and happy with himself. And I know
Interesting. It's almost like you're a psychiatrist, the way you're analyzing him.
that is because that was his first sign that him pretending like we're friends was working. And to be fair to me,
All right. All right. I would love, I wish that this psychiatrist would share his feelings about this. If I wonder what he feels about this if he sees it.
I had only ever been to therapy before. I didn't realize that, it's important to call your doctor last name. I mean, I did know that. I did it with all my other doctors, but it just...
No, but you just said in that other video that when you initially got prescribed these meds, that it was by a primary care doctor. I'm a little confused if you're watching this and you're like, Melissa, you're an idiot. Tell me why. Like, what am I missing? Because she started off by saying that she got this diagnosis, took whatever meds, but then the side effects were like too much, so she stopped. Then she decided she's going to go. She starts seeing this psychiatrist that she Googles, first person that pops up, gets an appointment within 30 days, which, again, I've never experienced that. I don't know what state you live in. Maybe that's normal there, but... And then said, I had lots of experience. Did I misunderstand what she said? That she had lots of experience on the couch. But then she was like, now she's saying that, I guess she's saying that a therapist is not the same as a psychiatrist, which they're not. They're not. But in my personal experience, my therapists usually are the ones that the psychiatrists, like I said, you see them like once a month for like updating and just seeing how is the med working. And usually the psychiatrist is talking to the therapist in some sort of way, or they're exchanging notes, in my experience, to kind of like, because the psychiatrist is not sitting with you every day. So I'm wondering, how often were you actually doing sessions with this psychiatrist? Was it once a month? Because usually that's what it is. All right, I'm confused by Kendra.
Showed that the boundaries were blurring, and he liked that. So from then on,
All right, but that's from your perspective, and you've already said that I don't mean to sound like a dick, because I've been in therapy, like I just shared, and psychiatry, and obviously I've dealt with a lot of things in my life having to do with diagnoses of certain whatevers. But the way she's talking is making me feel like she's coming off smug to me. And like I know this is what he was saying this because he felt this, or he knew that I felt. You need to tell me, Kendra, did you say to this man, I find you attractive? We're close in age. Like, she's insinuating that he knew from the get that she felt whatever sort of way, like he's a mind reader or something.
Third session on, I started calling him his first name. And then he just started turning up the volume on us being friendly. And he would ask me, for the first 6 sessions, he asked me, after the meds, he said, how's your bowels, bladder, and appetite? And I would say they're all normal. And then he would ask me any thoughts of harm. And apparently that's pretty common for psychiatry to ask those questions. And then on our 6th...
Even in therapy, they would ask me things like that. I'm very confused. I need to know what state you live in, Kendra.
Session, when things were really, the chemistry was starting to be there before, like, I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, this man is just...
The way you were talking, you felt chemistry from the first moment you saw this person, because you said you felt attracted to them. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into this too much.
Friendly. And he said, I have to ask this because it's a special interest of mine, but is there any thoughts of harm? Like I was special to him. And I said,
you're special, all right.
No thoughts of harm. And he didn't ever ask me a clinical question again. He stopped asking me about my bladder, bowels, and appetite, and he stopped asking me about thoughts of harm. So to me, I would just show up and he was like a therapy appointment every month.
All right. So every month she was, all right, that answered one of my questions. All right, let's see part 4.
So I was seeing him every month and just gaining more and more respect for him because
and it's kind of weird to me that this psychiatrist didn't suggest to her, like, you should be in weekly therapy separate from my care, or at least in some sort of group, like she shared, right? She was 6 months sober. Sh Were you not in some sort of like group therapy for that, or going to meetings or things?
He would just tell me these little things about his successes and all of the cool things that he was doing in his life. And
Now, I will say this. I'm being a little harsh on Kendra. I apologize if oh no, this is we're already on part 9? No, this is part 4. Part 4. Okay, because it says down here part 9. Um a new character in the story is unlocked. Okay. Um yeah.
it made me fall for him, honestly. And
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. If this doctor was like, they may have been fulfilling like their um after you graduate, there's a certain amount of hours that you have to work, and it's like not an internship, but like, I forgot the word. I just said it before. God damn you, brain. But sorry, I'm also distracted because the way I paused her face is rolling her eyes.
he was really good at listening. And I mean, he's a Pisces, right? So, of
Oh, stop it. I'm a Pisces, and obviously I'm not so great at listening because, like, all right.
course he's going to be there and be able to go deep with my feelings, but that doesn't mean
Just because he's a Pisces? What's his rising? What's his moon and Venus? Don't do that.
that he wasn't extracting from them. Anyway, so I would beg him to let me see him every week. Beg him, because my therapist at the time,
Oh, so you were
he
seeing a
was fine.
therapist.
You know, he wasn't a predator, but he was fine. He just wasn't doing very much for me. And so that therapist retired, and I got a new therapist. And this new therapist, who is a 75-year-old woman with a PhD, she was pretty helpful. So I stopped asking my psychiatrist.
Ah, the woman was helpful. The woman who's 75 and actually has actual life experience, as well as experience in the field that she's working. Okay, that makes sense.
Begging.
And I would say, if you're a woman, you should see a woman. For a number of reasons. All right? That's just my feeling on it. And I love men. I'm not anti-man. I've had male therapists as well, and psychiatrists, men and women. And really comes down to the individual, ultimately, that individual and their personal personalities and experiences and whatever. But
honestly, to be my therapist and let me see him more, right? Which also should have been a red flag. But then I started focusing on this therapist. However, I would tell the therapist how obsessed I was with my psychiatrist. And
did you ever tell your psychiatrist, though, that you were obsessed with them? I missed that part. I just wonder if you actually expressed to the psychiatrist.
she didn't do anything about it. She just was interested.
I will say, a lot of people do, I don't know if I would say fall in love with their therapist or psychiatrist, but a lot of people do have feelings for their therapist, psychiatrist, which I think in that field, they're trained, or they deal with it a certain way, a professional way. But that's not like a big surprise to them, because they're sitting there, hopefully helping you, right? Guide you. And for a lot of people, they're lacking that to begin with, or so, and then you're seeing someone that usually is helping you feel good. And it's just natural to love people that make us feel good about ourselves, okay? Whether it's platonic or romantic.
Also loved stories about my dating life, and yeah, she also was getting supply from me in her own way.
I'm really confused. It seems like every person that you deal with, Kendra, is like you feel is trying to get over on you, or is like using you, or they're not being professional or something. That's what that makes me feel.
But that's for another part. So yeah, so I got
Oh
a
my God,
new
is there going to
therapist
be a whole other thing, story time of the 75-year-old female therapist?
who actually helped me. She taught me CBT, EFT, all of these different modalities. And so I went
As
back
they
to
should.
just being okay with seeing Irfan once a month, while he was giving me these little breadcrumbs of making me feel special, telling me about his professional achievements, telling me about how he's getting international recognition. And it worked. I was really impressed. So I got a new therapist. I stopped begging my psychiatrist to see me weekly. And that is when the intermittent reinforcement started. Some sessions he'd be warm and kind and wonderful and let me in on little parts of his life and like be vulnerable with me or pretend. Other sessions, he would be cold and clinical and detached. And you know what that did? It made me work harder in our next sessions. It did. And it started the addiction that I had to him. 100%. And he knew exactly what he was doing. This man gives lectures on trauma and attachment theory. He used his psychiatric training.
Now that's interesting. When she says, if I only watched this video by itself, I might feel differently from all the other things I said, like in the previous videos, because this is a person that is trained, right? So, all right, let's hear.
Training to manipulate me and get me hooked. And guess what? It worked. In January of 2024, I was hit by a car turning left as I was going through a green light.
That's horrible, actually.
And it was the night before my next appointment with my psychiatrist. So I was like, okay, I'll still be able to go to my appointment on Zoom. I'm okay. But I did make an appointment with an urgent care the next day just to get checked out. I had bruising on my abdomen and a perforated eardrum. And the provider at the urgent care said, I do not feel comfortable treating you.
You were in an accident like that and you went to an urgent care? You didn't go to the hospital? That's interesting.
You need to seek emergency care
now. Yeah.
You may be internally bleeding.
Like, I don't understand. All right, anyway.
But it was 11 o'clock in the morning.
I thought urgent care was like for people that don't have insurance, or, like they have like they can't get to the doctor, because like you have to wait like weeks or some, months sometimes, right? Things like that. You're going to go to the emergency room or urgent care, but like if you get in a car accident, you're going to go to an emergency room, no?
And my appointment with my psychiatrist was at 2. So I decided that I was going to wait so I could see my psychiatrist and not have to reschedule, because I was looking forward to my appointment with him so much. I look back at that time and I'm just like, oh my God, I put my own life.
She kind of sounds like the people that fall in love with their AI boyfriend or girlfriend, or like depend on the AI, that AI chat to like guide them through situations or to get advice.
Under seeing him, I was fully addicted to him at this point. And you know what happened?
She still hasn't said though if she expressed that to this person. I guess it's just we're just assuming that they are intelligent enough that they should have known and recognized that, the psychiatrist.
is that I showed up and I told him that I may be internally bleeding, and he didn't stop the appointment. He didn't say, you need to take care of yourself, go get emergency care.
He might have thought that you were someone that exaggerated situations. He may have categorized you as a pathological liar or something. I'm just making assumptions. I'm trying to play devil's advocate a little bit here for the psychiatrist. They could be a horrible person, I don't know, but
Now, he let me continue and just tell him about how much I loved him. And
because part of me is listening to this, and I'm like, this is her side of things. I wish I could hear the side of the other person, where where their head was at with this, or how they were viewing this person.
how grateful I was for him, because that was really what most of our appointments were, is me just like pouring myself out, because he was so good at the intermittent reinforcement. Yeah, I got some warmth from him that appointment.
So you're saying that in that appointment, you felt like he gave you warmth, but you just said that you expressed or shared that you were in an accident where you could be bleeding internally, that the urgent care said you should go to the emergency room. But he didn't stop the appointment. He didn't say, "Oh, you should go to the doctor." He didn't show any concern, but yet you're saying he showed warmth. I'm confused.
So that was January 2023.
I'm very confused by this.
I also told my therapist about this. She said nothing. I got it.
All right, so the therapist and the psychiatrist are both...
After I risked my life to see him, that's when he really started turning up the intimacy in our...
What the hell is on her face? What? Man, I feel, it's been a while since I've been in therapy, but after listening to this girl for however long this has been, I feel like I need it.
Appointments. However, he was really smart and knew the professional lines like the back of his hand. So he would comment on my appearance, but not compliment my appearance.
Well, because complimenting you would be unethical. Like, right? Right or wrong? So, all right, elaborate, Kendra.
So I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you curled your hair." Or I would come on screen and he would say, "Oh, you're wearing glasses." And of course I felt...
Well, maybe because he hadn't seen you in glasses before. Oh, you're wearing... I didn't know that you needed glasses. Or you curled your hair and you thought maybe he was just mentioning... because he could tell, see that your hair is curled when it's normally not. Maybe he's recognizing that you're trying to look a certain way for him. Or maybe it's just a way to start a conversation.
Seen and excited that he was noticing these things about me. I didn't realize at this time.
And I do feel like any therapist or psychiatrist I've seen, I've had good and bad experiences, I think I mentioned, but I mean, I'm not hearing anything that's making me go, oh my God, this psychiatrist, what a pig. So, all right, tell me more,
That
Kendra.
he had feelings for me too. I thought I was holding them all by myself.
Wait, so you're saying because he noticed that you had glasses on and that you curled your hair, that he had feelings for you? Okay.
I was so excited when he noticed my glasses that I ran and showed him my other pair, and he said, "I prefer turtle shell glasses." So even though I usually wear contacts, I'm wearing these turtle shell glasses in these videos because just in case he sees them ever.
What the hell? What?
He'll see me in his favorite glasses. He did tell me he likes the turtle shell.
Oh my God, Kendra.
Anyway, it was just inappropriate things like that. Little teeny...
Why is it I don't necessarily think it's inappropriate to be like, oh yeah, I like the turtle. Why is that inappropriate? It'd be inappropriate if he said something like, when you wear glasses, you look really sexy. Or with your hair curled like that, it's really, you look very attractive. Am I missing something? Is it me?
things that he let
Maybe
me
it's
in.
me.
And all this time, my best friend is an emergency medicine physician. And she told me, she said, Kendra, one of these days, your psychiatrist, she would use his name, is going to say, I can't be your doctor anymore. I want to be with you.
Okay. If I was your friend and you were telling me, like, the stuff that we've been watching so far, I would literally tell you, you should not be seeing that person because what the hell's wrong with you? And just because they said they like turtle shell glasses doesn't mean they want to bang you, but okay.
I want to be with you so bad. I can't be your doctor. I'll see you in 2 years. So
that's great. So your friend also needs therapy, is what you're telling me. Okay, good.
Best friend, who's a doctor, she picks up on stuff like that.
Yeah, because obviously the therapist that you're talking about and the psychiatrist who is a doctor, who you're basically talking about how unprofessional they are, but your friend is a doctor and she sounds like a genius. Yeah, all right.
So even she knew that our
Kendra, he's in love with you, Kendra.
Relationship was crossing boundaries.
He said he noticed you curled your hair and that you're wearing glasses, and then told you he liked tortoiseshell glasses, and now you're saying you wear. When she just told that story, the way she told it to me, she wasn't wearing tortoiseshell glasses. She was wearing glasses, and then he said, "Oh, you wear glasses," and then she's like, "Oh, and look at my other pair," like a little girl, and then he said, "Yeah, I like tortoiseshell, that style." And then you seem to run out and get a pair of tortoiseshell glasses that now you're wearing in this video because you're assuming that he's going to watch this and I guess rub his balls. I don't know. All right.
Boundaries and getting weird. Nuts. But that became my dream, was for my psychiatrist, I almost use his name, to do that. And I told him about Brianna saying that, my best friend, who's the emergency medical doc. I told him that she would tell me that, and he just would be silent.
I wonder if he was silent. Now, again, I wish you would tell us, did you express to this person? And if I missed it, someone tell me in the comments. Call me out for the dingbat I am. Did she ever say to him specifically, I'm attracted to you? Like, I'm falling in love with you, or like, whatever. Because I missed that. I don't remember her saying that. But she's telling her therapist and her friend the doctor, and her friend the doctor, the genius, is just feeding this delusion more so. He's in love with you, Kendra. I swear he's going to tell you. He can't see you anymore because he's in love with you. And so then I tell my psychiatrist that my friend, the doctor, who's a genius, is saying that. If I was a psychiatrist, I would say, well, why would she say that? What was the conversation that led up to that? I don't know if what she's saying right now is actually true. If she actually said this to the psychiatrist, that my friend is saying that you're in love with me, and you're gonna all right. Look.
He didn't disagree, but he didn't agree, and that was weaponized neutrality was his favorite game to play. Right? He didn't disagree with Brianna telling me that my psychiatrist had feelings for me, but he also didn't say that's inappropriate. Let's change.
I wish I had. You guys ever see that dating show on Netflix? It's called is it I Detect? Love is fuck. It's some. There's 3 seasons in Poland, 1 season in South Africa, 1 season in Spain. And they basically do an eye detect to see if you're lying or not. I wish I could do this on Kendra right now.
The subject. It was also around this time that I asked my psychiatrist if he had diagnosed me with anything other than ADHD when I had my initial diagnosis. And he said, yeah, I did. I said, oh, what did you diagnose me with? And he said, well, you had a lot of traumatic things happen to you in childhood because of your dad. And so I diagnosed you with other trauma and stressor related disorder. And that was the first little ping that I got of like, that was weird. Why would he keep that from me? I asked my, like, why wouldn't he tell me that? That seems important. He didn't tell me because he was using that information to manipulate me.
I can only speak from my own experience, and I feel like I've been diagnosed with certain things and they didn't openly discuss it with me, which I also felt like that's one thing I'll agree with Kendra on. Like, why not tell me what you're what you're writing down about me when it comes specifically to things like if you're gonna categorize me or diagnose me with something. Um, and that's interesting if it's true.
He knew I had trauma and stressor disorder.
Well, if you had trauma, though, and stress disorder, maybe even bringing that up or deciding, as I'm again playing devil's advocate, the psychiatrist may have been feeling like you're like in session with them, still seeing them. Maybe they're still trying to determine the best way to treat, you as an individual, um, or they're not sure if that diagnosis is correct.
And instead of helping me heal from it and telling me about it, he used it against me.
Now, I don't know how they treat the things she just mentioned. Part of that treatment might be things he was doing. So I'm not sure about that. If you have experience with that and you feel like sharing in the comments, specifically those diagnoses, let me know.
After I risked my life to see him, that's when he really started turning up.
All right, here we go.
January 2023. At this point, I was full-blown obsessed with
I don't know about you guys, but the glittery purple freckle thing going on, it's like, what is this? What is that?
My psychiatrist, and my therapist wasn't helping me. My psychiatrist wasn't helping me. He was feeding it.
I would say it's like what she just said. My psychiatrist and my therapist were not helping me. I have felt in the past when I was in treatment that I wasn't being helped. And like left therapy and then went back like a year later and ended up seeing the same therapist. And I realized after I had time to like step back and look at the situation, my therapist they were helping me. Like I felt exactly like this person just said, Kendra here. Like I was in therapy, I was doing the and they weren't helping me. It wasn't helping me. But after I stepped back and kind of looked at it from a different perspective, I realized my therapist was doing the best they could with what they had, what they could do for me. A lot of it was that I wasn't in the right state of mind. So like if you're not in the right state of mind, and usually if you're in therapy, seeing a psychiatrist, all of that, usually there's a reason why you're going through things. Not everyone is like dealing with a chemical imbalance or a specific diagnosis. Sometimes you're in therapy because you just need someone to talk to and vent and get it, you want to get feedback, things like that. But their job, in my experience, is that they sit and they listen. They're not supposed to tell you necessarily, go do this, go do that. You have free will. They're supposed to help guide you, depending on your diagnosis. And actually, I could swear in the video or two before, you said that the therapist was helpful. Like they were giving you specific things to do. So I don't know. I would love to hear from that therapist also. Like, did you do the things that the therapist was suggesting and it just didn't work? It's sounding like you have certain issues that either weren't recognized, were misdiagnosed, or you were properly diagnosed, but because you're in it when you're in treatment, you're like in it. Meaning, you know what I'm saying? That you can't see from outside of yourself. All right? You get what I'm saying?
And then I got a boyfriend. And at first, my psychiatrist wasn't really that keen. But then my psychiatrist realized that
they may have not been keen because if you're in therapy psychiatry, and also you're in recovery, which this person said they were clean for X amount of months. You're not supposed to be in a relationship with anyone other than yourself. You're supposed to be single. Others who have dealt with that type of sobriety, you know what I'm talking about, right? All right, let's continue, Kendra.
Boyfriend was a lot like my psychiatrist. And then I started talking to my...
How would you... All right, first of all, I kind of am bothered by the fact that you feel like you know your psychiatrist so well when this is someone that you would see once a month on a Zoom session. They're your psychiatrist. You know them as your psychiatrist. I don't care if they shared with you that, they succeeded in certain things or blah, blah, or they share some things about themselves. You don't know them. It's just freaking, again, you're paying this person. All right, anyway, continue, Kendra.
Psychiatrist about my sex life, about tracking my cycle, using the fertility awareness method.
Yeah, he probably became concerned that, all right, don't reproduce.
And my psychiatrist loved it. He didn't never say, this isn't inappropriate to your care.
Did he literally say, I love when you talk about this stuff with me, Kendra? She's saying he loved it. He never said it wasn't appropriate. I don't understand the way, maybe it's just me.
Let's pivot. Oh, he just let me...
You're paying him to sit there and listen. So he's going to let you talk about whatever you want to talk about. Usually that's how that works. And he's probably doing that because he's seeing where your priorities are at. Like, you've been in therapy or seeing him for X amount of months. So he's seeing, like, you talk about you had daddy issues, obviously recovery, other things going on, trauma, whatever, childhood stuff. I'm going to say that he probably was aware that she was attracted to him in some sort of way because he's probably not a total idiot. And you can tell by someone's body language and in the way they speak to you and things like that. So he maybe should have cut this person off right away, for sure. But I don't think it's for the reason that she feels.
Talk about my sex life. And
I've talked about my life with every therapist I was ever, male or female, because that's part of my personal experience at that time. And also can give the therapist or psychiatrist a lot of insight as to how your childhood or your daddy issues are affecting your current relationships. I don't know, maybe
too deep, but about a year and a half in, and
it's almost sounding like to me like you were sharing very personal things about your life with this person, and you're not, from what you just said, he wasn't fishing for that information, but he wasn't stopping you from sharing that information, which makes you feel like it's because he enjoyed hearing it. He may have, but the way you're presenting it.
I would send my psychiatrist these emails just about how much I liked him and how I was so grateful for him, and
the psychiatrist
put in a bunch of heart emojis.
To your psychiatrist.
And this is really when he should have transferred my care, but
I will say, if what she's saying is totally transparent, again, just playing devil's advocate, the psychiatrist could have recognized that this person had certain feelings for them, but didn't cut them off as a patient because he may have felt like, see, now if it was me and I was the psychiatrist, the male, and I recognized all this, I would maybe say, maybe you should see a female, because it is inappropriate. But again, most people do have certain types of feelings towards their therapist or psychiatrist. I'm not saying in love, but good feelings, hopefully good feelings about them. And that's why you want to see them and share with them. Maybe it's just me. Again, I'm not saying you should be in love with them. That's not appropriate. Definitely, no. But that's not a rarity. That this happens a lot where people develop feelings for their doctors, psychiatrists, and therapists. All right.
You
Especially
know,
if they've been neglected and things like that. Now you have a person that you feel is caring or listening. Just listening to someone sometimes will make them to have certain feelings for you. Just feel it, just because sometimes we fall in love with someone not because of the way they look or who they are, but how they make us feel about ourselves, right?
he waited. He liked what I gave him too much. And so, even though my boyfriend did not meet my needs, my psychiatrist and my therapist both were like, you have to stay with him.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe a psychiatrist or therapist would ever say to you, you have to stay with this person. Did they meet this person? Were you in couples therapy? Like, what she's saying right now, I don't mean this. I feel like you're not being honest, Kendra.
There's nothing wrong with him not meeting your needs. I'm like, okay. And my psychiatrist,
What needs are you talking about that you were sharing, like, physically? Like, this person wasn't fulfilling you physically? I feel like there's a lot of holes in this story here. I don't fully trust Kendra's reenactment of these events.
was like, he's perfect. Don't get wrong with him. And what was perfect about him was he wasn't meeting my needs. So I was still coming to my psychiatrist looking for emotional validation, which he would drip to me.
Oh, all right. Is she saying that they were like, you have to stay with him because then you'll stay screwed up and needy and we want that money, honey. Don't cancel those appointments just yet.
Slowly. So my therapist, who I didn't know at this time,
Now, if she is being super honest and transparent, then this is really fucked up. But personally, I'm not buying what you're selling, Kendra. That's just me.
had bad boundaries, but she did. I went to her because my boyfriend and I, after like more than a year together, we started.
Wait, didn't she say she stopped seeing that therapist? Am I nuts?
Having issues in the bedroom. And so I went to my therapist and she asked me, what does your psychiatrist think about this? And I said, I don't know. I haven't talked to my psychiatrist.
That's strange to me because again, really, if you're seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist, usually notes or something. There's some sort of like doesn't have to be necessarily like a relationship between the therapist and psychiatrist, but usually they're comparing notes or something having to do with the patient that you share. Usually.
About this stuff.
So I don't know why they would ask you what your psychiatrist says.
Because I have a crush on my psychiatrist and I don't want to tell him this intimate of stuff. And she said, well, you should tell him because I want a male's perspective.
I don't know if I'm all right. You guys let me know if you're buying this.
So at my next appointment with my psychiatrist, I told him, I said, today we're going to talk about my intimate life. And he said, oh. I said, yes. My psychologist, my therapist, asked what your opinion on it was. And I told her that I don't talk to you about this intimate stuff because I have a crush on you.
I feel like she just said, though, that she was sharing very specific things with the therapist and the psychiatrist, and they both said, no, you have to stay with this person. Am I mishearing what she said?
And he looked down and smiled so big in that moment. He smiled so big. And I loved it. It's so gross thinking about it. And then I proceeded to give him 30 minutes of non-stop content about my intimate life with
Was it like if I was calling one of those 900 numbers? My
boyfriend. And I actually recorded the whole thing because I was so excited about it.
All right, that's weird. I don't know what state you live in, but in a lot of states, it's not legal to record people without their knowledge. And I don't know if, in general, it's normal to record your session, especially without permission.
But now it makes me sick. I can't even listen to the recording. I've tried.
I would love for you to play it because I want to hear this person's voice. I want to hear if they're speaking to you in the way that you are describing in these videos.
To start, but it's gross. Any ethical psychiatrist.
The way she just said it, I feel like she listened to it over and over and over again.
Would have stopped me and said, Kendra,
While
let's talk about your
tortoise
meds. Let's
shell
talk
glasses.
about your care. At this point, my meds were stable.
If your meds were stable, they weren't helping with your overall stability because you do not sound stable now. And I'm not trying to be rude. You don't. You don't sound stable now telling this story. And you obviously weren't stable at the time that you were in therapy. You weren't stable when you decided you wanted to go back into seeing a psychiatrist to begin with.
And I was still seeing him every month. Yeah, that was a rough time. And it was pretty much
I feel like I need therapy after listening to you.
Christmas morning, the almost 2.5 years of grooming me to get me to talk.
So now this has been 2.5 years. Did I miss the part where she said so it's been 2.5 years now.
Talk about sexual things with him worked, and he got 30 minutes of nonstop content to use.
So she's saying that this was his mastermind plan was to see you for 2.5 years so that you would feel comfortable enough to share the smegual things going on between you and your person. But you said in the other video, when you started seeing this new person, all right, again, I'm very confused.
I need to address 3 things. 1, people are asking me what my mental health diagnosis is. I do not have BPD. I do not have psychosis. I have ADHD. And
Honey, you were misdiagnosed.
I was experiencing extreme limerence with my psychiatrist. Limerence is a normal...
All right, so I guess at this point, people... so I see the comments are now off. Like, all these videos, they're off. So when she first put these videos up, people must have been saying, honey, you don't have ADHD, whatever. Now they're a bunch of psychiatrists diagnosing you, as well as, like I'm doing as well. Personally, just listening to you, I don't feel like you have ADHD or ADD. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm qualified to diagnose you or anyone else, but just listening to you, it does seem like you might have some sort of narcissism or possible borderline personality thing. Like, just my opinion. Just from, like, listening to you talk.
Thing to happen to anyone.
And now I was in love with my psychiatrist and he kept me away. He kept me anyway, part 7.5, because she was like, oh no, I have to address these people and turn off all the comments.
Was experiencing hot and cold behavior from someone.
No, but that's your perception of what you felt. Like, this is why it's important to always remember there's her side, his side, and the truth. You guys know that saying? I feel like that's what's going on here.
And it happens more often in people with ADHD because we have dopamine dysregulation and rejection-sensitive dysphoria. And guess what? My psychiatrist knew that and used it to his advantage.
He might have. I don't know him. I haven't been able to hear his side of things. She could be right. But when I'm seeing this, what I've seen so far, I feel like I'm watching a person who I don't want to be rude, but it almost sounds like was delusional about the relationship with this person. um, maybe is not able to read body language very well. That, anything this person did, you felt like it was either manipulating you or getting turned on or something.
2, I accidentally said my psychiatrist's first name in one of my videos. If you clocked it, good for you. I do not owe him anonymity. However, this is not about doxing my psychiatrist.
It almost sounds like you were in love with him and you still are. Like, yeah.
This is about me sharing my story so other people.
Yeah, but your story has a lot of holes and it's your side or version of a story.
Can view predatory behavior in people in power. Okay? If anyone doxes my psychiatrist with his last name or city that he works in or
How would anyone be able to do that if you're saying you accidentally said his first name? It's seeming like she was trying to get this person doxed. Like, she's unhappy with whatever outcome. I don't know how this ended. I guess we'll find out if we ever get to the end of this, but it's seeming like she did this for attention, clicks, to become viral, which it's worked. One of the reasons I came up and decided to watch this is because I saw in my feed, like, all these different reaction channels talking about, I was in love with my psychiatrist and saw him for 4 years, da da da. And I was like, I was ignoring it, but it kept popping up to where I said, all right, let me go check this out. Like, all right. Anyway, it's not Kendra.
that he works in.
Kendra, it seems like you don't take responsibility or accountability for your adult decisions and actions. But just me.
Your comment will be immediately deleted and you will be blocked. This is about protecting other victims.
Oh man, she's reminding me of a few of the girls in Girl World.
Not doxing my psychiatrist. If you do some...
Like, she comes off, the way she said that he was very smug, but like the whole time, especially in this video, she's coming off very smug. But just my opinion.
Investigative work and you want to DM me about it.
As a matter of fact, when we get to the end of this, I'm curious if she reported this person. Maybe I should share my experience that I had with a psychiatrist where they were very inappropriate with me. And I let a therapist know in the, place I was seeing. And that person was immediately reported, not even by me, but by other workers in, like, the therapist that I was seeing, like, that I shared, whatever. Because I didn't even see it necessarily as the person was being inappropriate, necessarily, because I was not in the right state of my own mind. And I was heavily medicated. Like, I didn't even really understand what was happening, if that, because my head was so messed up. But it doesn't seem like she was in that state of mind. All right.
To that, okay? 3. I need to take
3.
a moment.
Yeah, take a moment, Kendra.
Moment taken.
In through the nose, out through
the mouth. It is so incredibly disturbing to me. The amount of people that are predator protectors in my comments, that are victim blaming me, especially the mental health practitioners in my comments using therapy.
Oh, I wish the comments were not turned off so I could see what people were saying. Oh man, I came late to this game.
Speak to say that this situation that I was in was my fault or that I was delusional.
I'm not necessarily saying it's Kendra's fault when I'm watching this, but I do feel like there is a level of delusion here. That's just my feeling. And I'm saying that as someone, I've spiraled where I thought people felt a certain way about me and they didn't. And not like Kendra's, what she's sharing, but just in general, like, when I've been in certain mental states. Uh, yeah, I don't know if Kendra's going through a spiral like right now in this video. She might be.
Check yourself. You're giving me more ammunition.
No, but Kendra, you came up here on TikTok and decided to make I don't know how many parts are to these videos to tell your story. And again, I could have not been hearing certain things. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I wasn't hearing it properly because I was diagnosed with ADHD back in the day and other things where maybe I'm not taking in the information as it's coming. And I recognize that, but it doesn't seem like you do. So it's
share my story because it just
no one made you share your story, though. Like, this is something you came up your own free will, and it's seeming like you're doing it to go viral, to get viral, and or get the attention of this psychiatrist specifically. Because after you mentioned he commented about turquoise glasses, I've seen you wear these glasses now in every video.
to show how absolutely messed up the mental health industry is and how protected people who do this kind of sick psychological manipulation.
I will say I do have, as an individual, because of my own experiences, pretty strong opinions and feelings about like psychiatry, the mental health, like the whole thing. And I do feel like psychiatrists and therapists and all of this, they're people, meaning there's good ones and there's bad ones. I feel that way about doctors as well. If you've had good experiences, personally, not Kendra, not you, Kendra, but if someone's watching this, like if you've had good experiences with doctors, psychiatrists, therapists, I think that's great. I've had really bad experiences. As a matter of fact, out of all of the therapists I saw, there's only 2 that stand out in my memory as therapists actually 3 that were good. They tried, to help me, I feel, and were professional and just seemed to come off as actual good people, separate from being a therapist, just, because these are human beings, okay? Like, if you have experience in life, some people are shitty, some are genuine. It's just what it is. Just because you're a psychiatrist or a therapist doesn't put you above. Although I will say that it is an issue in the medical field in general that I've experienced this more so with doctors, like in medicine, not so much the psychiatrist and the therapist, where they have like a god complex or something. Because it's almost sounding like this is how she's describing the psychiatrist. Like he has some, like he's holier than thou, better than, and was manipulating her the entire time, sort of energy going on.
So I will continue with my story tomorrow. I will see you all then.
Oh.
I need to address 3 things.
Well, she was real sassy and smug in that video.
Welcome back to another installment of I Was in Love with My Psychiatrist and He Kept Me Anyway, Part 8. You all did some nasty work last night, and I had to turn off comments.
I guess this is where, like, things took a turn. Where Kendra, did you think you were going to share this and everyone was going to fully support you? Maybe she shared this actually, like, in her mind, this happened, this is her truth, and she was sharing it, and she thought she was going to maybe connect with, lots of people who maybe experienced the same thing, or were going to just agree with her. Kendra, I don't know if you're new to the internet. Sometimes people, they'll say things in comments just to try to get under your skin, whether they agree with you or not. You know what I'm saying? So, that's just, take it with a grain of salt.
People started posting my psychiatrist's first and last name, his picture in the comments.
Oh, interesting.
That was a jump scare.
So he was literally doxxed. How did they get that from just his first name?
So, yeah.
This is just something I just felt, and I could be totally wrong. But I wonder if she like put this story up and then under a sock account doxed him because like she's so pissed about all of this and wanted this man to be doxed. That's just something I just felt. I could be totally wrong, but that's kind of weird. How did he get doxed? In that video we saw before, and she said, didn't she say she accidentally said his first name? Okay, I don't know.
A few bad actors who wanted to be super sleuths got the privilege of commenting, mostly hate, let's be real, taken away for everyone.
She really, though, you do come off smug as fuck.
So at this point in the story, there are two main
If I was your therapist, I would find that very unattractive, Kendra.
players. My psychiatrist, who's my age, who crossed major ethical boundaries, and my therapist, who is a 75-year-old woman with a PhD. Neither of these people at this point in the story I knew were crossing boundaries. I thought that everything was hunky-dory and that I was just in love with my psychiatrist and it was totally normal. Little did I know he was manufacturing everything so I could fall in love with him, because it was on him to set the professional boundary and not let attention build. So
again, I just need to know, Kendra, did you actually express to this person in words what you were feeling about him specifically? Because I don't feel like she really said that.
days after my psychiatrist's Christmas morning appointment,
if she actually said that and then he was like, oh, it's totally normal and and didn't suggest for her to go somewhere else, then yeah, that is unprofessional, unethical.
from a few videos back, where he got a crush confession from me, and then 30 minutes of nonstop intimate content that he did not stop me. My boyfriend and I broke up days later. So then I started dating this other guy. And this other guy, this new guy, was a therapist. And I was like,
what?
oh, great. Someone who will be able to emotionally meet my needs.
You know what it sounds like? It almost sounds like this person has a fetish for therapists in general.
Yeah, I'm not going to date another therapist again.
So wait, first of all, you're an adult person. No one forced you to go and date a therapist. Like, I'm confused by you, Kendra.
So this therapist and I, we went for
I mean, I do feel you need a therapist. Not to be a dick. I need one too, Kendra. I need one too. For different reasons.
coffee. It was nice. Our second date was a hike. And on this hike, this therapist starts telling me about how he has a crush on one of his clients.
Stop. So now you're dating someone, they're a therapist. You're like, great, they're going to be wonderful because, like, therapists are like gods. They're perfect. Which I already just said that they're human beings, all right? A lot of therapists need to see a therapist, all right? To have someone to talk to because... All right, so now you're dating a therapist, and this therapist now, while you're on a date, is telling you how they have a crush on one of their clients.
And I thought to myself,
and you
okay,
thought, I'm not your therapist. Why are you telling me this?
This is strange, but go ahead. Like,
go ahead, tell me. I can't wait to tell my TikTok audience.
On a date, dude. Why are you telling me about a crush on one of your...
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because he's just an idiot man who happens to be a therapist.
clients, but go off, King. So
man, whoever that guy was, if he's real at all, because I honestly don't know if I believe anything this person is saying. But if that's true, man, he's gonna really regret telling her anything.
Then he was saying, yeah, she's so attractive, and I think she likes me too. I go and visit her at work, and her coworkers say, oh, so-and-so talks about you all the time.
I don't believe this at all. What do you, I don't believe anything you're saying, Kendra. I want receipts. You're telling me that you started dating a guy, he happened to be a therapist. While you're on your second date, you're hiking, he tells you, I have a crush on one of my clients, one of my patients. And you're like, oh my God, that's gross, but tell me more. And then he's telling you, I go and visit her at her job. That doesn't even make sense. All right, now I'm going to start sounding all smug like you did in that last video, Kendra. What you're saying literally makes no sense. It's a good thing you turned the comments off, because...
And I was like, okay, where does she work? And he said, well, I shouldn't tell you that because I really shouldn't be visiting her anyway. I was like, okay, no problem.
I've never heard of such a thing.
So then he continued.
I have never heard of such a thing in my life. What are you talking about?
And he said, yeah.
If you had a therapist and they visited you at your job or something, please let me know in the comments, because I've never heard of such a thing ever.
Wears these red lacy panties and short skirts. And I know she wears them for me. And like alarm bells were going off in my head. Mind you, I had no idea that
This is the weirdest. All right, go ahead, Kendra.
My psychiatrist had similar feelings towards me at this point. But I just thought, wow, this man is borderline predatory. And he said, yeah, and, you know, she just is so attractive that I have to smash her mate before every session because I just have to get that energy out of me. And I was like,
I feel like if a therapist or psychiatrist was feeling that way about a patient and they did share those feelings, it wouldn't be with someone on a second date. It would be with their therapist or psychiatrist. All right? And I'm real talk.
Okay. And yeah, he just felt compelled to tell me. And it's
almost like, I don't believe, this could be a real story, but personally, I don't believe what you're saying, Kendra. I just don't. The way you're telling the story and everything, to me, just doesn't make sense. I'm not buying what you're selling here, but...
Did not understand why. Now I do. So he told me about how he's a predator, right? Another predator in the mental health industry. Shocker! So then...
And I'm not saying there aren't people that are unethical or like what she's describing in this field, because I dealt with one that was like that, and there was probably others that I didn't pick it up on or whatever, because that's something I've seen when I was younger especially, but this story doesn't make sense.
At my next appointment with my psychiatrist, keep in mind, it had been 6 weeks of nonstop fun for this man. He got to use my crush confession and 30 minutes of content, for whatever he wanted to use it for, right? And if my psychiatrist was good...
I'm sure your psychiatrist was telling his girlfriend on their dates, you know, I have this patient, Kendra.
Anything.
I love her tortoiseshell glasses and when she wears curls in her hair.
It was being professional and acting professional and technically not crossing any lines. And he thought that he was so good at it, because he was good at it. But that doesn't mean he wasn't doing it. And so I told him, I said, yeah, Bo and I broke up. He had known about this other guy, my psychiatrist. I had mentioned him.
Are we gonna dox Bo now too?
And I told him that,
Bo, I want to know your side of the story.
This new guy and I went on a date and we went on a hike, and I literally had no idea at this point.
And then I told him that he has a patient who likes to wear red, sexy, lacy undies.
I'll say it again, that my psychiatrist was predatory towards me. I almost said his first name again. I'm going to do my best to not.
What does it matter? He was already doxxed, apparently. Not by you, though, Kendra, right? Wink, wink.
So I went to my psychiatrist and I told him this story about this man that I went on a date with, who's a therapist, is relieving himself before appointments and talking about his clients' panties and doing all of these other extremely inappropriate things, like visiting her at work. And this man, my psychiatrist, looked like he had seen a ghost and like he was gonna vomit, because he prided himself on being an extremely professional and buttoned up person. But here I was.
I don't understand. You're saying that he prided himself on being professional, but everything you've been saying in these videos is stating that he was unprofessional from the get. Make it make sense,
Holding
Kendra.
a mirror to him with exactly what he was doing, but a bumbling idiot telling me like how he was doing it without the fancy degree, without any of that. I look back on that now and it's just crazy. And so it just tainted all the fantasy material that I'd given him the session before.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome back to another installment.
I'm going to end this here because I don't know how many more parts there are. But if you guys are interested, I will watch the rest of them and post them so we can see where this is actually going. Because honestly, Kendra, I don't know about you, Kendra. All right, you guys let me know your thoughts so far. Am I the dick? Maybe I'm the dick. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. And if you guys want me to put up the rest of her, you know, her story, I don't know how much longer this goes on. Let me know. All right. If you made it to the end, thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next one.